it just didn't occur to me that there wasn't anything I shouldn't do as a result of being a girl. I think girls do have to work harder. I think that becomes true. I wasn't necessarily conscious of it then, but I just remembered that from the script, which is you've worked hard, you now need to continue to work really hard, you mustn't let up. And that became a bit of a source of stress for me, actually.
And as you said, it becomes true, even if it wasn't true for you as a carefree child.
Yes.
It then becomes true as an adult. And so that is something that we really want to erode for everybody, right? Not just for women, but for everybody. This idea of you have to work hard. It's like a death sentence or a life sentence.
Yeah.
All of the good stuff in life, the joy, the pleasure, the delight, the curiosity, the knowledge seeking, as you say, none of that is really present when you've got that kind of pressure.
And my advice is always, you can do anything if you apply yourself. And please, please, please don't let other people tell you that you can't do something just because you don't have the right qualification. My business partner and I sold our business in 2012. And at that point, towards the end of it, the biggest challenge was that I just fell out of love with the business. And I felt utterly trapped. And I think that is the biggest challenge I've probably personally ever faced.
How did you get over that? And because I think that this is something that is so pertinent, but we don't often hear spoken about. I'm sure that there are lots and lots of people in business out there who do feel trapped and feel that they have to stick with it because they built it.
Circumstances contributed to it, in that I would say that I felt utterly sandwiched. And what I mean by that is we sold our business for a very strategic reason. We had grown very quickly, and we started in 2003. We did our 5-year plan in 3 years. Having said initially, wouldn't it be nice if we kept it at sort of 25 to 30 people? Because my business partner and I previously had been rivals, we've been direct competitors, and we both run bigger agencies. And we thought we'd do this together. We had a very healthy competitor respect for each other. If we do this together, it'll be easy. Wouldn't it be nice if the team was 25 to 30 people? And of course, that happened so much quicker than we anticipated. And it was bigger than that. We had a lot of global business. And therefore, for very strategic reasons, we knew we had to go to the next level. And we looked at various options, but in the end, we decided that selling to a parent company that could give us all the infrastructure we needed was the way to do it. And we knew there was going to be a trade-off. But knowing something and then being in it are two different things. And I'd already done an earn-out process before, so I did go into it with my eyes open. And then I had a team who we were desperately loyal to, we'd built, and we told them we'd sold our company to make it a legacy brand, to ensure its future, to maintain its values. And there I was stuck in the middle. And the truth of it is that I felt really trapped by it, and I was desperately trying to hold everything together. And I wasn't listening to my body. I wasn't listening to my own inner wisdom, which has always been there. And for whatever reason, I inadvertently turned the sound off. And in the end, I got pneumonia. And so it was almost, it had been going on for about a year, and where I knew that I wasn't in a great place, and I was working, a great place physically, but I just didn't see that there was an option until my body sort of went, okay, fine, if you won't stop, I'll stop you.
Yeah.
And then I had to stop. And so I stopped and had to focus on recovering. And I should say I'd made all sorts of contingencies and put plans in place to make sure that the business would be okay. And as I stopped and I began to get better and my head cleared and I could hear my wisdom again, it was almost like, what on earth was I thinking? What was I doing? And I just knew that although at the time, rationally, it didn't look like it was a good idea to walk away, in my heart, I knew that I had to do it. And it led me on the most incredible journey. I'd sort of realized that the biggest leaps in my life have been when I felt terrified and hugely excited at the same time. And it was terrifying to to step out into the abyss, and I felt slightly guilty for leaving my team behind, but I knew they were fine now. I knew they would be okay. Started a new journey which took me to becoming a transformational coach, which is something I've never planned on being.
In your description, there are so many points that I know will resonate for different people. You know, the feeling of being trapped, taking the risk, listening to your body's wisdom when I'm coaching people, because I think it's actually one of the key components of the Good Girl script is that we are trained out of listening to our bodies. Your body decided, okay, you're not going to listen. I'm going to just do it in a way that you can't ignore, which is what happens. Getting over the guilt about leaving your team behind, knowing that they have their own resources, they are skillful people, they will be okay. Is what you've described is the process of tearing up that script and flourishing, tearing up that script and flourishing. Because what I've noticed working with women is that every time we tear up a different aspect of the Good Girl script, we blossom, we flourish, we succeed fully. What are your top 3 tips for other women to help them continue to tear up the Good Girl script and flourish?
Well, the first one is going to sound pretty drastic, but it's what I came to realise, which is don't believe anything you think that involves you when it's future or past based, because what I've come to realise is that our personal mind, our intellectual mind, if you like, is utterly conditioned. That's the script. And for women in particular, I think we pick up a lot more interference in our script. Mm. So the very fact that people are asking questions, could a woman do that? Should a woman do that? You know, means you think, well, should we? Could we? I suppose don't listen to the script in your head, particularly if it's being critical or it's trying to scare you into not doing something. I think what you do, Vena, is so important because it's about listening to that deeper knowing, that embodied knowing. And, you know, lots of people talk about their life in terms of the aha moments when they saw what they were going to do. And I think mine's a bit more, there is that. But if I'm really honest about it, it's a bit more of a hard no. What happens is I get to a hard no and I go, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that anymore. I don't know what I am going to do, but I'm not doing that. Yeah. And listening to that, that's a really hard embodied no. And that would be what I would really recommend to women is we tend to have this deeper intuition. And as you say, we've been trained not to trust it. But I believe we can trust it. It is our innate intelligence. It's our innate guidance system. So our head might try to overrule it. Don't listen. It's our scripts that tell us why we can't or why we should. You asked a question which happened to be an area where I knew the answer better than anyone else in the company because I knew the customer. And he asked me this question, and I'm pretty diplomatic. So I was careful about how I phrased it, but I was honest. And he went ballistic. And, you know, you talking about the gender thing, he got up out of his chair, he made himself huge, he raged, he banged the table with his fist. And I remember sitting there, thank God, not in my head, but here going, you're an idiot. Like, this is not about me. This is about you. And the reason I wanted to mention it is because I don't think it's for me to talk about necessarily, but I do think is really important is that when men behave like that, women usually often think, maybe is better, it's my fault. I made him. And they'll say that, you made me cross. But no, that anger is coming from inside them. And of course now, I know what I know, I'd actually have a bit more compassion for his suffering because someone only behaves like that when they're coming from a really suffering place. You know, they probably don't know it. And to him, it looked like I'd annoyed him, but I knew that I hadn't annoyed him anyway. The point was that I just thought, I can't work for an idiot like you. Yeah. And that was my hard no. I was like, do you know what? If you're general manager of this company, that's how you behave, I can't work here. Yeah. And that was a case of like, I don't know what I am going to do, but I'm not doing this. It would be brilliant.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I feel that bubbling, actually. I feel that there's definitely going to be things that we brilliant. Thank you so much, Sarah.